Hi, I'm Greg. I'm the lead singer for Lipstick.
And I'm Steve. I'm the bassist.
And welcome to the Lipstick Panel, the internet's #1 ranking show. The #1 ranking show in the world, just like how Kiss is the #1 band in America. I'm Greg. I'm the lead singer. Steve's the bassist. And we've got some amazing guests with us to talk about the excellent Kiss album, Love Gun. We've got Julian Gill from KissFAQ. We've got Ken Mills from PodKISSt. And we have Andrew Sgmbatti from My Kollectibles. So we've got a full panel for a show where we weren't even sure we'd have guests, but we put out the Kiss signal, and the three of them answered the call. And so welcome, gentlemen, to our show.
You're not generally allowed to fly the Kiss signal in public because kids might see it, but, you do your best.
It's phallic shaped.
It was kind of like the Thundercat signal. Once you guys shined it out, my Kiss belt buckle lit up, and then my eyes lit up, and I looked at the sky. There it was.
Like, someone wants to talk about Kiss. I need to be there to correct them.
Yes, you got it.
I mean, especially we have Julian here. Like, I'm just assuming he's going to correct me on everything today. Like, KissFAQ is just a monster website. And so I'm just expecting just crushing facts nonstop. I'm going to say something like, well, actually, you're wrong, Greg.
You know, I hope to get the opportunity to do that. When you put the call out, the hairs on the back of my neck kind of raised up, and I was like, ooh.
And, of course, Ken, who was recommended very highly by the guys from Pod of Thunder. They're like, you need to get Ken on the show. And, of course, we got him immediately. So thank you so much for being here, all of you guys.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be here. And I'd like to say that's just more typical Jones Brothers bullshit. And thank you, Chris L. So I love those guys.
Yeah, you know what's funny about Ken? When Ken first started PodKISSt with Gary Schouler way back in late 2006, early 2007, I used to listen to these guys, and I was like, man, not only do I want my own Kiss podcast, but I want to talk to these guys because they sound cool. So it's come full circle because, Ken and we're not strangers. I've been on PodKISSt many times, and, dating way back to, the early days too. So it's always cool to sit down and chat with Ken.
And sometimes when I mention to Andrew that we still have his fan mail and friend mail from back in the days where he was like, you guys are really cool and I like your show. Can I come on Sundays? and I'll queue up When You Wish Upon a Star. And it's true. Dreams do come true. He's got his own podcast. So here we are.
I think that's sort of the trick is if you want to talk with your favorite podcasters, you just start your own podcast. You're like, hey, do you want to be a guest? Rather than asking them to be a guest on their show, you ask them to be a guest on your show first. That's the trick. That's how you do it.
Mm-hmm. No, you're good. Actually, the way that Ken and I started talking to each other via PodKISSt is I worked at the Kiss Coffee House, and one of the guys that was on his show at the time wanted to do some features on there, and I was like, well, hey, I work here, so whatever I can do to make it easier for you, let's do that. I set them up an interview with Tommy Thayer at the time, and they did an interview with me because I was still running around dressing up like Peter Criss at the time. But that's how we met. I whatever I could do to help out on the podcast, I wanted to do, and I wanted to get involved.
And you just avoided KissFAQ like the plague then?
Actually, no. I've been posting on KissFAQ for a really, really, really long time. I've been on it with Julian. Julian's been on my show. Julie and I, we've went in and purchased items from other Kiss collectors, so we go way back as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and Julian is the reason why that I purchased the Gene Simmons Vault.
Oh, here we go, blaming me on that again. The check's in the mail. Andrew, I'm so happy that you are doing the Gene Simmons Vault, actually. And I'm so blessed to have had a lot to do with Ken over the years. And with you, and it's one big happy family of Kiss podcasters out there.
Agreed. And you know what? I'm not blaming you for that. I know I jokingly did when I first bought it, but seriously, you're the one that convinced me to do it. And I know it's like, 50 some odd days or 49 days till I do it. But, I'll be thanking you again once I actually do it.
Can't wait for your report.
Yeah. Andrew, getting the Gene Simmons Vault experience is seriously, anyone that can do it, I suggest that you do. It is an experience that you will never have any other way. And it's something that you never thought could happen. Julian, is that fair to say?
Oh, without a doubt, Ken. I mean, it really goes past the kind of superlatives that roll off the tongue just to be able to describe the experience. It really is very cool. And if you can do it, it's highly recommended.
Mm-hmm. And I personally could not afford it. And a bunch of really cool people like Julian and others that made it possible so that I could get a vault. And that's coming up on a future PodKISSt episode. So little early plug there. So anyway, we all of us in the KISS community, KISS podcasting community, we have a respect and admiration for one another and for one another's shows as well.
Well, three sides of the coin hates us, but otherwise we love everybody.
Man, Greg, you said you weren't going to talk smack about them this time.
Well, they were saying that everyone loves everybody, but they legitimately don't like us. But other than that, we're golden. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right. One little article about the Gene Simmons Vault being overpriced and everyone gets upset. And once again, to reiterate my stance, the Vault experience is great and it is magical and everything you guys are saying is great. I just think there should be an option for a music-only purchase, even a digital-only. If it's digital-only $250, I'd do it. But there should be a music-only option, was my article. And everyone got upset about that. I'm like, sorry. Sorry I care about the tunes.
You know, as someone who's done the vaults, I love the whole thing about it. But as a collector of music, as a person who enjoys the music of KISS first and foremost, I wish there was, because, you know, I really do feel that people are being left out, and it must be so infuriating, so annoying to see all these people, all these different podcasts, all these different kind of features of people going on about the music as well. And you're like, I can't hear it. So I totally get that. And I do feel for everyone who would love to have a $250 one. Ken, you were going to say something.
Well, I was going to say that there's no quantifiable way to put a value on what it is, right? Like, the only thing that it really comes down to is, can I afford it, and will I make it happen one way or the other? I see people that will go to football games and they'll spend up to $2,000 on really nice seats and buying jerseys and everything that comes along with it, and people that'll go see a band and have a meet and greet. And basically, the Vault is everything from a catered meal to FaceTime with your favorite rock star, getting tons of crap signed, a comedy segment, pressing flesh with fellow KISS fans, and then later you get this box that you get to come home and, like, for example, it's been 2 weeks now for me. I have not yet opened up the music. I'm still, it's like I'm chewing on every little bit of the experience. So I've opened up the book, but I have not actually taken the music out yet. So this is something that's going to last a lot longer than one day, right? So whether it's something you want to do or not, I will say this much. Gene Simmons was really smart to do this, because otherwise we wouldn't even be talking about this box set at this point.
I mean, he's,
you know what I'm saying?
He's guaranteed to make
money
money
from it. It would have come
from
and
it.
gone. Well, not only that, but we live in a culture now where everything is not only instant, but it's also instantly disposable and replaced instantly by the next bit of clickbait. Your favorite band can put out an album and you can wait 11 years for it, right? And that album comes out and 2 weeks later, no one's talking about it. We live in an age where Led Zeppelin could drop a box set of unreleased stuff never heard before, and no one but the diehard fans will care. This has gotten Gene press everywhere, and it's opened a lot of doors. There was a gentleman that was at the Vault experience who purchased the Vault experience. He is a semi-KISS fan, and I'm not trying to quantify how much of a KISS fan he was, but he wasn't really sure what the name of the first KISS album was.
It's called Kiss.
Right. Yes, but wait a second.
It's great.
For you, me, and everybody here, and the people that are listening to this show, chances are you know that and I know that. But this guy became a fan of KISS. He enjoyed their music growing up. Some stuff in the 70s, some stuff in the 80s, and so on. But he doesn't own everything that KISS has ever put out. He doesn't own a bunch of Spencer's toys or a pinball machine. He really got into Kiss because he could go with his business friends and they would go see Kiss, and he had a great time. And then he saw Gene Simmons' Family Jewel, and then he started buying Gene Simmons books, everything from Me Inc. and so on and so forth. This guy loves the Gene Simmons story. His reason for buying the vault is he wanted to meet Gene face to face. There are cheaper ways he could have done this, a million times possibly. And I don't know if he'll ever sit down and listen to the disc that are actually in the thing, right? But his thing is he wanted to spend the day hanging out with Gene Simmons because he respects Gene the businessman, Gene the son of the mother who went through the concentration camps. He loves all that. That's his in, right? So for a lot of people, I met a couple people there that they weren't diehard Kiss fans, but they were Gene fans. And some of that had to do with Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, something that a lot of Kiss fans dismiss, want to pretend never happened.
Yeah, but what do I say about Family Jewels all the time? That saved Kiss, and I mean, I want anyone to fight me on that.
But the thing is, like, going back to the point, they're a band, and the music is the most important thing. Like, I have no problem with a meet and greet and an experience. That's fine. But I did the math on my phone calculator here. Let's say you charge $30 a CD, which is more than the average price of a CD. Average CD is like between $15 and $20. But let's say it's the best CD ever, so we'll charge $30 a CD. That's $330 for the box set. So versus $2,000. Digital only, I'd pay $300, whatever. It's rare. But that's still like above fair market value. We're talking about putting a price on the music. You know, as a guy who's legally purchased all of Kiss's music, I would like the opportunity to legally purchase the music. Like meeting Gene, it's cool. I've met him, whatever. That's not what it's about for me. It's about like how can the average person who has supported the band's music buy the music.
Okay, but this is also an attempt to get us back to where we actually, the reason we have convened here at the table.
To talk about the music. the thing that the band is known for. The tunes.
But there was a Love Gun Deluxe album that came out. It even had a little magnet that you could put on your refrigerator. How many people here bought the Love Gun Deluxe? I did.
Yeah, I didn't know it existed.
I did too.
You didn't know it existed. So here's the thing. You're doing a show today about Kiss music, and you didn't even know that it existed. Now, I'm not coming down on you. I'm not trying to harsh
Are there
your
different
vibe.
songs
I'm not
on
judging
there?
You. Yes, there are, but we can talk about that later. My point being, and this is the thing, is that when that album came out, Julian, how much did that sell to diehard Kiss fans? How much did that album sell?
It's like 6,000 copies.
6,000 copies of a deluxe set with bonus material that we didn't have access to. You would have thought Kiss fans would have been tripping, to get to Amazon or Best Buy or Amoeba or wherever fine records and CDs are sold. The Kiss community, the Kiss community in large, or en masse, that's a big word like gymnasium, they did not give two flying fucks. And note, I use that word in a sentence, whether that album came out or not. And had Gene Simmons released this 250 Vault set that you could download, it would have been downloaded and distributed for free to everyone, and nobody would be talking about it on the news. Nobody would be talking about it on the Steve Harvey show. No one would be talking about it on The View. And that is what Gene Simmons has done. So I, as a music fan, want everyone to have this.
Yeah, and Ken, I do want to correct myself on that. I said 6,000. That week on the charts, the number 200 album actually sold only 1,800 copies. So in its first week, it sold less than 1,800.
So what we call music is disposable to most of the public that is out there. There was a time when this album would have come out, even 10 years before, it would have been a huge seller for them, right, Julian?
One would hope so.
I mean,
Well,
take a
let's-
look at the remasters and everything.
Well,
There was
come
a
on.
market.
The remasters weren't massive sellers either. The catalog itself and how it's been dealt with is a whole other kind of discussion and
Yeah,
episode.
that's a whole nother
I mean,
show.
I bought all the
It's never
remasters.
been
Just saying,
shown.
I bought all of them.
Right. I dig it. So, I'm not making fun of anybody or trying to discount your opinion. I can tell you that there's no music that is worth $2,000 that was in the vault. I can tell you that. But I can tell you that the time I spent with other KISS fans, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley, and the folks, Ryan Cook, and everybody that was there, it was a magical day. So now that we've discussed the box set, the vault experience box set, we need to talk about Love Gun.
We do. Also, just a quick shout out. Ryan is a friend of mine, and I love him. All the guys in the Gene Simmons band are great, and I fully support everything that they're doing. Phenomenal musicians, great guys. So just a shout out to those dudes.
Amen.
Yeah.
Ryan Cook, Jeremy Asbrock, Brent Fitz,
My boy Phil Schaus.
and Phil Schaus. We love you guys, and as a matter of fact, Phil Schaus's company, Mutt Merch, sponsors the podcast.
Oh, nice.
So,
No, and,
Mutt Merch.
and it's been mentioned before on the show, Phil Schaus has played on a couple of our Lipstick songs. So obviously, we've got support for our friends going on to bigger and better things. But enough about overpriced music. Let's talk about music that costs you $10 at Best Buy to get. Let's talk about Love Gun.
Not anymore. It doesn't. Best Buy stopped carrying CDs.
Oh, it's true. You can get this for $5 at Walmart.
Or, free on Spotify or whatever.
Right. The band will get a nickel. So Love Gun, history with the album. I guess I'll go first. I became a KISS fan in 2004 when I was 14. I got Love Gun eventually. The band opened with Love Gun when I first saw them. It was pretty sick. I enjoyed it. And my copy of Love Gun, I got a hand-me-down record of it, and it had a giant crack in it. But I was...
Ouch.
Nah, it was awesome because I would make it line up enough where it would just skip slightly, and I just joked that the album was so heavy that it was crushed under the weight of the heavy music and that it couldn't handle how heavy and badass this record was.
That's a really great way to explain
So
it.
that's what I would do when I would bring my friends over and we'd listen to Love Gun on my record player. And then when I was buying the catalog, purchasing the albums legally on compact disc, I purchased Love Gun eventually because that's just what I did. And I bought it, and it was great. And that's my story with Love Gun. Steve, your turn.
This goes back to the very first episode in that I saw Role Models. And then I listened to Love Gun today.
And that is his experience with the album.
The end.
Part of the
Wow.
gimmick with the show is Steve is not a KISS fan. He's in a glam rock band, but not a KISS fan. And we're having him listen to the albums in order, sort of as looking at it as an artist development standpoint, seeing how an
Yep.
artist grows and evolves.
I envy you, sir. No, seriously, what I wouldn't give to go back to hear these albums for the very first time. And please understand, as someone who was there as it was happening, I would love to hear, to be inside your head, and I'm going to have to listen to these episodes because that's amazing. The beautiful thing about music is it belongs to all of us,
Yeah.
right? It's
It's
not
at the vault.
it's not.
They're gonna release it on the streaming sites eventually. He's just gonna give it a couple of years to really make money off it first.
But seriously, we all come to it when we do, right? Like, I remember my wife talking about when because she was somewhat of a KISS fan when she was a kid, and her favorite KISS song is probably Love Gun. Seriously, she's a huge Paul Stanley fan.
I wouldn't say
And,
huge Paul Stanley fan. And her favorite song is Love Gun.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm quite aware of all of this. So, but when she got into KISS seriously after seeing them in 2004, she went back and did the entire catalog. So it was kind of weird for her to just reach for a brand new CD and not knowing what was on it. You know what I mean? Like she might have heard Tears Are Falling at some point, or, because this was something that as a young teen she was into, and then she kind of walked away, became a mother and a career person and all that stuff. And then she gets into KISS and like, I need to check these guys out. And she became a serious diehard fan. But, Andrew and Julian, you know what I'm talking about, to jump from, Unmasked to Lick It Up to Elder to Creatures to Carnival of Souls. It's such a musical cornucopia, right? It's just a journey.
Well, it's great, and what's really great about what you just said, and what's great about this panel here, is I am no longer the fucking new guy. Okay, I got it when I got into KISS for years. Even the band to this day still calls me Little Andrew because I was the youngest fan at the time. I mean, I got into the band, 1989, 1990, right around there, and then my fandom was thrown in overdrive when they put the makeup back on.
Dude, I was born
96.
in 90.
Well, I was born in 85, so I got 5 years on you.
Old man Andrew.
I liked them because I thought they were comic book heroes before music, but we talked about that on the last show. But for me, what's really cool is that KISS still has new fans, and that totally blows my mind because I thought I was going to be the youngest KISS fan forever. So when you guys say that you got in 2004, or even Julian, you saw the band for the first time live in 98. For me to be able to see the band in 96 on the reunion tour and to have actual memories of seeing the I Love It Loud video when I was like 7 years old, it's solidified me in my own history saying, well, hey, I'm not a new fan anymore. So I get to experience the formative years of KISS as they happened? No. But I got to experience kind of the later years and kind of was able to go back. But yes, to go off of your point, Ken, it was a huge trip to listen to, I don't know, all the pre-reunion albums, and then listen to Carnival of Souls, and then change gears and go back to Psycho Circus. And then it's cool to me. The reason why I like KISS so much is there's something for everyone as far as music goes. If I want a hard rock heavy metal record, I can listen to Creatures of the Night or Lick It Up. If I want a pop record, I listen to Unmasked, or if I want something lighter with a little bit of a heavier edge, I listen to Crazy Nights. There's something for everyone.
And if you want to listen to something that stinks, you put on Hot in the Shade.
Whoa, Hot in the Shade is fantastic.
Just listen to Peter Criss's solo.
Peter Criss's solo album is also fantastic.
Listen to Out of Control.
I love Out of Control. That's a great record.
I just started listening to that today. I don't know why.
The weird thing is that no matter when you come to it, it's your KISS, and it becomes, you kind of become part of the story, and that's there's no shame for starting now or being as old as I am.
No, that's the important thing to remember. I mean, it doesn't matter when you hop on the bandwagon, as long as you hopped on the KISS bandwagon.
Agreed.
So how does this ranking thing work?
So the way that this works is I took the votes of the different panelists and we added up the songs with a point system. So whatever was your best song got 10 points. Whatever was your worst song got 1 point. And so then we added up the points to make it a fair thing, so it's not just one person's opinion, it's the collective opinion of the panel. In the event of any tiebreakers, whichever one got more low votes ranks lower. So let's say a song is tied, and then there's a bunch of ones. So a bunch of people voted as the worst song. That one loses in the tie. So it's a way to keep it fair. And the idea behind the show is that we try to be a generally positive show. We're not strictly a KISS podcast, but it's a ranking show discussing art that we enjoy. And so it's not necessarily the worst song of them. It's the 10th best, as we discussed in previous episodes. So just a way to organize our thoughts and make it coherent for the listeners. And, everyone loves list shows.
I do.
So let's move in to the first one, or rather the 10th best song on the album, from Love Gun, Then She Kissed Me.
There's a shock.
I mean, I was surprised.
So, most of the time when I do my rankings on this show, I tend to rank them more as how is the songwriting versus how is the execution. This one is a really, really great song, and honestly, Kiss does it pretty well. The only problem is it's such a stark tonal shift from the rest of the album where it's really awkward on the same album with Love Gun, the, magnum opus about my dick. And here's like a cute romantic teenage love song. So the different tones don't mesh very well. But if you just look at the performance in isolation, the band sounds good, Paul puts on a good vocal, there's a good solo, it's well produced, and it's a catchy, classic song. So even though it ranked last place on the panel and it was towards the bottom of my list, I still enjoy it quite a bit. When I first heard it, I did not like it. I was thinking, oh man, the original is way better, why did Kiss do this? It doesn't fit with what they're doing. But upon review and repeated listens, they did a really good job with this track. It's great. I can understand someone not liking it, but I think they honestly did a great job with it.
Agreed.
I'm the only one who gave it.
Why did they do this song? Why this song? Why?
Because they love 60s
know.
pop. Because 60s pop is great. That's the reason. 60s pop is fantastic. It's some of the best music ever recorded. And if you really think about it, Kiss is just like a hard rock 60s pop band. If you look at their hooks,
They are.
and the way they're bopping around on stage, Paul tapping his foot and the way he shimmies, a lot of it is very similar to a 60s pop group. It's just he's wearing, spandex and platform boots. But if you take those same moves, cut his hair, put him in a suit, it's totally a 60s pop band.
Cut his hair, put him in a suit, and then
Julian-
it's dressed to kill.
Yeah, see, there you go.
There you go. Julian, you mentioned Sean Cassidy. Please play that angle.
Yeah, at the time, I mean, June the 1st, 1977, Sean Cassidy's debut album came out that had been recorded the year before. What's on it? Stuff exactly from that era. The Do Ron Ron, which became a hit for him in the summer of 1977. So I think, when you look at what Kiss was doing cover-wise, they were going way back into their youth, I would still love to know who specifically picked this actual song because
Paul.
It plays it has a nice tie-in obviously with the title and the band, but I think they probably knew that other bands were recycling some of this earlier stuff. They tried it themselves in 1974, and why not? If they needed that extra song at a late moment for the album, then it's a kind of a throwaway, but again, recorded very well.
There's also a couple other reasons I think that this song was chosen. There's the solo albums coming out, right?
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, they were planned as far back as their Casablanca contract in 1976.
Yeah.
So whether they had an extra Paul song there and Paul thought, wait a second, I'm saving that for my solo album, I think that has something to do with that. But I also want to further put something out to the panel. I'm the guy who said that Destroyer is a concept album. I'm going to put it out there that this song is almost a tribute to the music that Kiss grew up with. This is almost an homage to the 50s, which was really hot in the culture of the late 70s especially. You had American Graffiti, you had Grease, you had Happy Days, you had Shauna Na, the Ramones, who was basically a punk band playing early Chuck Berry type music, just amped up. And we were doing that. I remember there was a Beatles album that was released called Rock and Roll that, really put the focus on the Chuck Berry type music that the Beatles did, those covers and things like that. So I think that in some ways, you take a look at songs like Christine 16 and Hooligan and even Tomorrow and Tonight and Then She Kissed Me. There's times that there are callbacks to the 50s and early 60s music within this album itself.
Well, I mean, that's a very 70s glam rock thing to do. If you look at T-Rex or Gary Glitter or David Bowie, they were all doing the retro 50s, 60s, early 60s thing. All those bands did that. That comes with the territory of glam rock because they all liked those bands. The Lipstick song,
Absolutely.
Having Fun, is specifically me writing a retro 70s song that's trying to write a retro 50s song. That was the thing. I'm going to write one of those songs they did in the 70s where they just tried to sound like it was the 50s. So, it was a thing that was common back then, and it makes a lot of sense. If you think about Kiss, they're less of a riff band and more of a huge vocal hook band, which is what, those old pop tunes were about, were the giant vocal hooks. So I think, I don't think this was Kiss being calculated or contrived. Honestly, this comes off as too sincere for that. I think this was, because if it was more calculated, they would have picked a more balls to the wall, kick-ass song. I think this was them sincerely reflecting their influences and just having fun with it. The same way that some people might be upset, like, what, Megadeth is covering Strange Ways? This is too slow for Megadeth. It doesn't make any sense. This is out of place. That's kind of the same thing here, where, like, this song might be out of place, but it's them just embracing their influences and having fun with it. And as a lover of music, it's hard to knock someone for just embracing their influences and having fun.
How dare you cover a song you like?
How dare you?
Yeah, well, but guys, did they like this, or did their record company like this?
No, like Paul has
it.
gone on record as saying he loves that kind of music, and so has Gene. Like,
Yeah.
no, of course they like it.
And they goofed around with the song in Soundcheck during the European tour the previous year. So, Gene has mentioned that's where it kind of came from, that the band had played a little bit of it and laughed about it. So, did they like it? Yeah, one would hope so.
Yeah, no, they liked it. And also the record company is not going to recommend they cover the Crystals. Out of like all the bands you could have Kiss cover, you're going to go with the Crystals? No.
The Kistles?
Nice.
Yeah, but there's also doing a cover song with the word Kiss in it. You know what I mean? I think that kind of has to play into it a little bit. You mentioned Kiss being like a 50s or 60s band, like an amped up version, right? I've always said that Kiss is a pop band with the trappings of a heavy metal band. That basically plays hard rock.
I would completely agree with that, and actually, that's why I like them. If you look at my favorite bands, my number one is the Beatles, and Kiss is number 4. So obviously, there's a connection between like, oh look, giant hooks all the time, make it catchy. So yeah.
What are the other two?
Jim Steinman and his collective works are number 2. Thin Lizzy is number 3.
Oh, okay, all right. Just curious.
Yep. But that might be another episode. Greg's favorite bands ranked
By everybody else.
Oh, that'd be fun if everyone had to rank my other. Kiss would probably win with the panelists we'd have on there. Like, of course, Kiss is the best of Greg's favorites. But any other comments on Then She Kissed Me before we move on to the next one?
I'm the one who ranked it the highest of the panel. I put it as third because Good Times, Great Oldies. I thought it was a good switch to have a traditional oldies song on there. I like Kiss when they do weird things.
Then you're gonna love the next few albums.
Hooray!
Like, to be completely honest, I've been really looking forward to once we got out of the classic era, because as fun as the classic era is, it's not my favorite era of Kiss, and Steve has eclectic taste in music, so he's been a little bit more bored with the quote-unquote classic stuff. Once we get into stuff like Unmasked, Dynasty, The Elder, and the solo albums is, I think, when Steve is actually going to start to click and really enjoy the stuff he's listening to.
I mean, just because I'm playing with safety pins while we record this podcast doesn't mean I'm bored.
All right, so next up on the list, Tomorrow and Tonight. It's a great song. It's another one of those throwback 50s, 60s kind of songs. This is fun. I like this song a lot more than the average Kiss fan, apparently. This is one of my faves off the album. I jammed to this. This one's great. I can listen to this all the time. I never get bored with it. I think it's criminally underrated. I don't think it's that much worse than Shout It Out Loud, although Paul apparently does. But yeah, this is a great tune. I don't know why people don't like it.
Here's why I don't like it.
Do you just hate America?
Because I felt like... No, I love America. I don't like this song because I felt like it was a dishonest attempt to try and rewrite Rock and Roll All Night and recapture Rock and Roll All Night, just kind of like Shout Out Loud was them trying to redo Rock and Roll All Night. However, I thought Shout Out Loud was much more honest and was a cool song. Like if Rock and Roll All Night was chapter 1, Shout Out Loud is chapter 2. This is kind of like the epilogue, trying to like, oh hey, remember we're that rock and roll party band and blah blah blah. I don't like it. It's one that I skip over. I also don't like it because I actually got Alive 2 before I got Love Gun. So I heard this non-live in the studio version of them trying to fudge their way through this. I don't like the song. I could definitely do without it. This song and the previous song, and Then She Kissed Me, it's not even in my 70s Kiss playlist, and almost every 70s Kiss song is.
If Paul Stanley begs on this song now, he wasn't when he wrote it. He wasn't when he overproduced it on Kiss Alive 2 and had himself doing like 19 different backup vocals on it to try to make it sound like it was a bigger song. I can imagine Paul saying something to the effect of, "This is a great song. It's just not a great Kiss song." And I think that at its heart, this is an excellent Leonard Skinner song.
I don't see Skinner at all with this one.
Oh, dude, seriously. If you get a hold of the Kiss Love Gun Deluxe on side 2, the second disc, there is a version of Tomorrow and Tonight that is the demo, and it sounds a lot more like Leonard Skinner than it does Kiss. I can send it to you if you want.
You know what? I'm going to legally purchase the music. Thank you.
I was just going to say, you could purchase Love Gun Deluxe on iTunes for $11.99, and that gives you the full remastered first disc, which is it's just 10 songs of the original album, newly remastered. It sounds great. It's the version that I listen to this day. Then you have all the other tracks that don't really hit the point, but you can have them anyway.
They're there.
And it's got some other cool rare stuff, Much Too Soon and Reputation, Plaster Caster demo, and one of the most bizarre things you'll ever hear on an official Kiss album, Paul Stanley teaching you how to play Love Gun. It's very creepy.
We're gonna get into that a bit later.
Go up to a G.
No, we'll get into that bit later because I've got some thoughts on that, but. Real quick on go ahead.
But as far as Tomorrow and Tonight sounding like Leonard Skinner, you've got the piano part that's in there, and there's more piano on this album than a lot of other Kiss albums when you think about it, from Christine 16 to Then She Kissed Me, at least used in the old-fashioned rock and roll Jerry Lee Lewis boogie woogie kind of a thing, right? So you've got that going on. And seriously, when you listen to that, you will hear that southern rock boogie kind of a thing, and I think that had they done that and been a bit more genuine with it, a little swagger to it, it would have came off more like the demo. And a lot of people say that things get lost from the demo to the finished track. So,
well, I love the finished track. I love the retro 50s thing that it has going on. And also, speaking of Jerry Lee Lewis, Andrew, the last time we were talking about great live albums, I feel like a fool for not mentioning Jerry Lee Lewis live at the Star Club in Hamburg, Germany. That is one of the best live albums ever done. Like, that thing, the dude is a monster. A killer, if you would.
But don't forget Frampton Comes Alive. That one is, that one, it was issued to you during puberty.
That's true. Like, they handed it out with packets of Tide?
Yeah. Well, no, like, I got my first ball hair, and like all of a sudden there was a knock at my door, and it was Frampton Comes Alive. I was like, oh, okay. I guess this is what we're doing now.
Hot.
But yeah, any other comments on Tomorrow and Tonight?
For me, it's been one of those songs that didn't resonate the first time I heard it, and it hasn't grown on me over the years. It's just too happy. I just don't like stuff that's that damn happy.
So you hate Crazy Nights then?
Oddly, no. It's one of those odd things about the band for me that some albums have grown on me, some have not, and Crazy Nights has grown on me, and this one hasn't.
But, you bring up a good point when you talk about you don't like because it's too happy. My favorite band is the Beatles, which is overall a pretty happy band. And then we go to Tomorrow and Tonight, which is a pretty happy song. I'm like, yeah, this is great. So that explains my opinion on it. It's happy. I like happy music.
Julian, I think that this is where you need to mention the background singers for this song.
Well, yeah, that's one of the important parts of this album is that it's not all Paul on the background. He's got the Kissettes on here. Tasha Thomas, Ray Simpson, and that name should be familiar, and Hilda Harris. Ray was, of course, one of the Village People.
Nice. And they sounded great. It was awesome.
Yeah, I really like the background vocals on this. You know, Greg mentioned Steinman as one of his favorite songwriters. I too like Steinman a lot, and this sounded like the sort of thing that he arranges. I probably would have ranked it even higher, except for they're a rock band, and I found it kind of silly that they felt the need in their rock song to throw in more butt sex euphemisms. Like, you can just sing about rocking, guys, and just have it be about playing rock music.
Not if you're Kiss.
I mean,
Right, sex has to be involved.
every song has to be about butts.
You know, and my favorite part of the recorded version that wound up on Love Gun is that part where it kind of breaks down and it's them all singing a cappella a little bit with just the drum underneath it. And then that part where Paul comes back in, and if he were on stage, he would do one of those great big sidekick kind of things. But that's the best part of that song to me. So there we go. By the way, so far we're going in the order of my actual.
Yeah, all three of you did the exact same
Mine
thing.
too. Mine too. Yeah.
Well, we're going to shake things up a little bit. And this is mainly the influence of myself and Steve ruining it for everybody. Next up on our list is Plaster Caster.
Oh, blasphemy.
I mean, I'm sorry. The bass line's kind of boring on this one. And, you know, so basically, I love all these songs on the album, and it's sort of, which of my children do I love less? And when it comes down to it, I have to look at, like, what are the flaws I can more easily find in it. This one, lyrically, it's, I guess, a more interesting groupie concept, I guess, but, you know, the bass line is a bit boring. It is a catchy, fun song, though. So I don't think it's bad. I don't think any of these songs are bad, but it's lower ranked for me because the other songs are better.
Mm-hmm.
This version is lower ranked for me because I love the version on Unplugged so much more.
I think that's also boring, and I wish they'd have picked a different song instead of Plaster Caster. It's like, oh, you're playing Plaster Caster? Why don't you play something else?
No, because just remember, like at the time when Unplugged came out, or even the convention tour was happening, Kiss had ignored these songs for the better part of 10 years. So to hear them play those songs at that time was cool. I think some of the songs on Love Gun suffer from shoddy production. I really wish that the production on these Kiss records kind of sounded like the production on their contemporaries, the Queen records, the Led Zeppelin records. I kind of wish the production kind of sounded like that a little more. Maybe my vote would have changed on this one a little bit, but I think this is a great song, but I think it suffers from subpar production.
Plaster Caster came in on my third favorite song off of this album. And a lot of that has to do with the vocals in it. I love the arrangement. And Steve, you're the Beatles fan?
No, that's
Greg.
me. I'm the Beatles fan.
Oh, sorry. Okay. My favorite band is also the Beatles. And if I could pick a song for the Beatles to cover by Kiss, Plaster Caster would be one of them. There's a very Beatle-like arrangement. Everything from the way Ringo would have done the fill from the cowbell back into the song. It's very Ringo-ish in many ways. And I hear a lot of Beatleisms in this. And, you know, Julian and Andrew will tell you that Gene and Paul will take an idea and wrestle it to the ground, meaning I'm going to do my version of this song and you do your version of this song. This is Gene Simmons. Plaster Caster is Gene Simmons' version of Love Gun. So when Paul said, hey, I got an idea for a song, Love Gun, you know, I think Gene went, well, I'm going to go write that song over here. Like, for example, on Rock and Roll Over, there's the two songs, Julian, that are very similar. Take Me and the Gene song is very similar in the beat. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Ladies' Room?
Yeah, I don't think Take Me's really similar to anything.
Take Me is similar to Making Love.
How wrong you are, sir.
And
No. You're all wrong. Love 'Em and Leave 'Em and Take Me have the same kind of stomp, that dun 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 dun. You know.
Oh, you know what? You're right. Okay, I
They
digress.
do.
You're right. You're right.
They absolutely do. You know. So, once again, Podfather proved I'm right. But yeah, so I love the vocals on this song, and though it wasn't a favorite song of mine when the album came out, over the years, there's a lot of listener fatigue casualties on this album, right? And we'll get to those as they pop up. But songs that you've heard so many times that you kind of like, I don't need to hear that for another 6 months. And you know, because as a Kiss fan, it's drilled into your head constantly. So this song still has a freshness to me. So there we go.
So I ranked this one as the bottom one in my ranking, mostly just because, like, after the 1-2 punch of I Stole Your Love and Christine 16 just really setting the sexual assault tone for this album, then the last original is them singing about, like, a specific person without her consent. Like, it was just super creepy to me. Greg was telling me that later on she listened to the song, was like, oh, on second thought I actually like this, which I guess helps redeem it a little bit, but still pretty rough.
Yeah, for me, this has always been middle of the road on the album. You know, I think Andrew mentioned that the version on MTV Unplugged is superior, but you know, I always liked it. 14-year-old me loved it, so it's still one of those exciting songs for Kiss fans, especially when it got dragged back into the set a few years ago. So it's you know, appreciated still to this day.
So next up on the list is actually Got Love for Sale.
No, Devereaux.
So sorry to my man Chris from Pot of Thunder. I ranked this as my last place song on the album.
Yeah, this is entirely Greg's fault that it's so low. Everybody else was like, yeah, this song's pretty solid, except Greg, the blasphemer.
Greg, definitely the blasphemer. If you were from Asgard, you would be Greg the blasphemer for sure. This song kicks so much ass that you have to go out and get a brand new pair of Tom McCann shoes. See what I did there, guys? You know, seriously, this song just stomps. To me, this is the flip side to I Stole Your Love, the only two songs that really rock this hard on this album. How can you not like Got Love for Sale?
So allow me to defend myself. This is the era of Kiss getting just so dumb, where it takes me out of the song. Like, this is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my entire life. Now, because of that, I love the song and think it's great. And it's fun in this is 60s Batman dumb. However, when compared with the other songs, I like the other songs on at least a sincere level, versus Got Love for Sale I only like on an ironic level. And so because of that...
Wait a minute. There's literally someone clapping spoons in Then She Kissed Me, and you're like, awesome. And Got Love for Sale, there's a cool part, and you're like, silly.
Got Love for Sale... I love 60s pop, and Got Love for Sale is just that the vocal delivery from Gene sounds like the guys in Stars doing their Gene Simmons impression on Violation, where it's like, here's a bad Gene Simmons impression, except it's Gene Simmons doing a bad Gene Simmons impression.
What's it like Bill Murray and SNL going, Star Wars?
Yeah, it's just, it's goofy, and don't get me wrong, like, the song is fun, and I will crank it up. I love all the songs on this record, but this is just pure silliness and not anything where I'm like, yeah, this is legitimately cool. Like, all right, no, this is just goofy and dumb. But I love goofy and dumb. It's just, I like every other song on this album better. This was a song I would make fun of in high school with my bassist, and we'd be like, well, all right, Got Love for Sale, the magnum opus of Kiss songwriting.
Well, I agree with Chris Lathrop, and that's just the fucking way it is.
All three of you guys gave it 5.
That's right. This song is basically Dr. Love Part 2, right? He's being a gigolo or a rock star or whatever, but you know, he will come and make your life better.
This is after he went freelance?
He'll just show up. This is freelance. He's practicing now. So Dr. Love is on the road, and he's bringing his love gun direct to you
For only $2,000.
Yeah, and he will bring the experience to you. You know, this is of course before he was married. We don't want to upset Shannon, but you know, you take a look at the lyrics. Your condition's red. You can't get to bed. Your eyes are full of tears. This sounds like a fucking infomercial already. You've got headaches, heartaches, a pain you can't take. I am who you have to fear. You know, give me a call. And then the side effects would be gonorrhea, syphilis, the clap, possible.
First half of the song is in black and white before they discover the love for sale, and nobody's using their thumbs.
But who plays bass here?
Probably Gene.
Anybody but me? No. I'm saying on the
Steve and I both play bass.
Okay, this fucking bass bit is just fucking insane. Have you ever tried to play this?
I have not tried to play it, but I will say this. Musically, I think it's actually pretty decent. Like, good riffs. I like the acoustic guitars. I think, honestly, it's mainly how goofy the vocal delivery is why it ranks so low. Mm-hmm. Like, Dr. Love is a very fantastic, subtle, nuanced vocal delivery. This is just full-on goofy. And it's fun, but it is full-on goofy.
Blasphemy.
See, I gave it bonus points for the goofy vocal. I had that at the end that he does like all in the back of his throat. I had to like double check and be like, wait, did he steal that from Pee Wee Herman or vice versa?
Yeah, but isn't those background harmonies cool at the end of the song? Gotta love the sale. Like, that's just cool. That's cool. Like, I heard the song and I was like, yeah, bitch, yeah. I like that. Like,
your observations.
I heard this song and I just wanted to disrespect women as much as possible.
Well, no, like when I say that, it's not disrespectful. Like, you know, whenever I say yeah, bitch, I'm actually calling someone a bitch. Just like, you know, I have this bad habit at work where like I'll be working on the computer.
You could be talking to me. Right,
yeah, like something will go wrong at the work computer, and I'd be like, your mother, and I'm like, not your mother. I'm talking to the computer. Like that's like where I go. So same thing when I listen to this, I'm like, yeah, bitch, yeah. I'm like, this is great. I grip my teeth and I'm like shaking my fist in the air.
Yeah, bitch, yeah. Isn't that a song from Animalize? No, I know. I'm just trolling.
Which, by the way, on I think it was it side 1 or side 2 of the PodKISSt episode we did, Julian, where Gary, BJ, and myself do a dramatic kind of PBS reading of the lyrics to Burn Bitch Burn. It was a beautiful reenactment.
You know what? I'm just going to toss this out there. I like Burn Bitch Burn better than Got Love for Sale.
What the?
And here's why. Because Got Love for Sale is goofy, but not like so goofy that Burn Bitch Burn reaches. Like Burn Bitch Burn reaches an entire other plateau of goofiness where it just falls into the so bad it's good category, versus Got Love for Sale, like, yeah, this is mostly good with a goofy vocal. So that's why Burn Bitch Burn.
Well,
it's goofier and therefore better. Fight me.
I respect your opinion, and I'm glad to hear it, but Chris, Al, and I are right once again. And Gene Simmons on guitar. Come on.
He plays guitar better on a different song on this album.
What was that, Julian?
Yeah, this is the one song. When I went to Edmonton to see Gene's solo band, I was disappointed that it was not in the set. I like it. It's just one of those cornball songs that I actually, you know, it's part of the reason I like Kiss, songs like this.
Exactly. So, but we all ranked it at what?
I gave it 6, you 3 gave it 5, Greg gave it 1.
All right, so next up on our list, we have a song sung by my favorite member of Kiss. We have Hooligan coming in next.
You skipped Almost Human.
No, there's...
sorry, that's the three-way tie.
The three-way tie. And, spoilers, Steve.
Oh, no. I'm ruining everything.
Edit her out.
But yes, Hooligan is next on the list.
This song is not Baby Driver.
Please explain.
Well, see, Kiss, usually they have this thing where they kept on trying to reinvent the wheel. they had a hit with Beth, so they were like, oh well, we're doing the Psycho Circus reunion album. Let's give Peter another ballad. They're always trying to like reinvent themselves. They're always trying to. We had a hit with this before. Let's do it again. So they had a hit with Beth, obviously. Then they tried to do Kiss Rod Stewart with Hard Luck Woman. It was all right. But they gave Peter this really great song, Baby Driver, on the Rock and Roll Over record. So I thought that was cool. That's one of my favorite Peter Criss songs. Then they give Peter Hooligan on this song, and I'm like, I feel like it lacks something that Baby Driver had on the previous album. I feel like it lacks a little attitude. I know Peter is a guy that's much more influenced by the greaser image, the 50s, the 60s, the gangster thing. I know that's where he's coming from. I know he thinks he's a bad boy. He's really not, but I know he thinks he is. So I know what he was going for on this song. I just think Baby Driver executed it better. And if I had a choice between Hooligan and Baby Driver, I'm always going to pick Baby Driver. The riff is heavier, and it's just a better song, my opinion. Is this a bad song? No, I just kind of like Baby Driver better. I do wish Peter kind of got a fair shake more on maybe writing some better songs and maybe working with some better co-writers. I think he suffers from a lot of his limited musical knowledge, and I'm not insulting him by any means. He's a percussionist, so he doesn't really understand, structures of songs.
And that was one of the key differences between this song and Baby Driver, is that Baby Driver had a lot more input from the band in helping craft that one to a finished product. And even by Peter's own admission, that Hooligan was really the first song that he felt he'd actively co-written, which just speaks volumes. So in terms of what you've just said about him as a percussionist, not a lyricist or a songwriter, it's very true. It's simply, compared to, say, Hard Luck Woman, Beth, or even Baby Driver, it lacks the quality because it's a more honestly co-written song. So that's kind of why I've always liked it a little bit. It's in the bottom of my list compared to the rest of the material on the album. But because it is that first song that he's really a more active participant in the creative side rather than simply performing or singing someone else's song.
And what I think this song suffers from the most is I think Kiss, the four band members, Gene, Paul, Ace, and Peter, started believing their own hype. In every interview, they would say, well, Kiss has 4 lead singers, Kiss has 4 songwriters. But if you really look back, Gene and Paul have always carried that band. Is Ace great? Has Ace come with some great stuff? Absolutely, no arguments there. Has Peter come up with some good stuff too? Yeah, but the thing is it wasn't the 4-person pie like they were painting it out to be. So
it wasn't the Beatles.
Correct, it wasn't. So I think band members started believing that they were good enough to do these things, and that's why we have a song like this that really doesn't hit the mark.
Well, I look at both this song and Baby Drivers as being 2 of the most honest songs on those respective albums, in the sense that you get Kiss on these tracks. Like, Kiss is represented on this track in a way that they're not on every song on this album. Like, for example, there are songs where Paul might be the only person besides the drummer that's playing on the track. There's a lot of times you have Gene playing guitars and so on and so forth. I look at both Baby Driver. This song almost suffers because of Baby Driver. Now that we've heard the demo of Baby Driver, where we hear Gene like really reworking that song a lot, working with Ace, trying to get it to be more of a rock song, right? More of a hard rock song. This song, you have elements of Gene working on it, elements of Ace working on it, and elements of Paul working on it, to where you've got Gene being very strong, the background vocals are all there, and you've got that wonderful solo with the chicken picking thing that Ace does, where he, and yes, I actually recreated that sound with my mouth. It's amazing. But then you've got that beautiful outro solo that, no matter what you say about Paul Stanley's guitar playing, there are times that the stuff he does is just beautiful and transcendent. And there's that outgoing lick and bit that he does that really is one of the best parts of the song. So each Kiss member worked on this. You know what I'm saying? It was an all hands on deck to make sure that this song got finished. And we saw, or we've heard from the Baby Driver demo, where Peter was frustrated by how they really worked that into a hard rock heavy song. this is I believe that he was trying to maintain this as more of that rock and roll kind of thing than it was the hard rock kind of thing. So, but I really give this credit for having all hands on deck, and I think it's really one of the only songs on this album that you can say that about.
This one kills live. Absolutely fantastic during that tour when Peter's just full force going for it and the band's playing it. Great song live.
Plus, Peter screams chicken salad roast beef sandwich in it. No, he doesn't. He's something to the effect of "Every chicken town loves me" as it's fading out.
Someone else listens to Pot of Thunder.
No, well, I've always thought that. When I was a kid, I thought that it said something about chicken sandwich, roast beef sub, or something.
The song would have ranked much higher for me if it was actually just about him going to a delicatessen, like, yeah, let me get a couple sandwiches and how's the matzo ball soup today? Like, this would be number one on the album.
Yeah, there's that one part. Is there a way you guys can isolate it?
We're specifically not playing the specific songs. Please go purchase the album yourself. Because
absolutely.
Also we just don't want to risk licensing issues. So.
Also, you're probably on YouTube already listening to this, so I don't know, just open a new tab and listen to the song.
Right.
Very good.
When I was listening to Flaming Youth as a kid, I thought because before I knew what the song title was, I thought they were saying "Blaming You." I was like, "Blaming you?
What did I do?
Why are you blaming me?"
Yeah,
Mom.
Seriously, Andrew, go listen to this after this recording. And there's a part where it sounds like when Peter's kind of screaming and singing, where he says something about chicken salad, roast beef sandwich or something. But he's really saying "Every chicken town loves me" or something like that. So.
Yeah, so great song, one of my favorite delicatessen songs of all time. But yeah, it's a cool tune. I like a lot. Peter's my favorite member. Of Peter songs, if I were ranking strictly Peter songs in the KISS catalog, I would rank this one more towards the bottom of his songs, but he's still my favorite member of the band, so I still love it. Steve ranked this one pretty high.
Yeah, I really liked the lyrics of this one. I thought this had it had that Alice Cooper kind of vibe to the songwriting, where it's a frustrated teenager who's always getting in trouble, singing about the shenanigans he's getting into. I'm a big fan of that.
Except he's a 22-year-old teenager.
I mean, Alice Cooper still sings "I'm 18," so whatever.
Right. Well, it's kind of like the song the Beatles covered. Run down, drop a quarter into the jukebox. It's that kind of a thing where you're doing that. So it's basically a guy who's maybe 21 and still in 11th grade.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought that was a good lyric.
So, but hold on a second. One last thing about this is that KISS fans don't like it when KISS leaves themselves to doing something silly. Even though KISS might want to do it, KISS fans at times are a little bit too butch. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want any silliness. Yeah. We don't want anything. And so they listen to these lyrics like, these are dumb lyrics. No, they're fun lyrics. Johnny Cash could have done this song, and it would have been great. You gotta have fun lyrically, or there's no point in being in a band.
If KISS fans were upset about dumb lyrics, they picked the wrong band to love.
Right?
Yeah, but see, what some KISS fans may consider dumb and what the world considered dumb are two different things. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, people say, well, that costume looks really stupid. And it's like, you realize you're talking about KISS, right? All of these costumes are kind of over the top and stupid, So just like makeup designs, you could put a goat, you make a goat makeup and 10,000 KISS fans will say how horrible it is. But if they would have seen that one first, Gene Simmons might have been the goat, right?
Yeah.
It's all in our perception.
Also, they're wearing corpse paint.
Gene Simmons is the goat.
It's corpse paint, so there's some Norwegian black metal band that would sue them for trademark infringement.
This is Gene Simmons, and I am the demon goat.
So I have a question for the panel. Why is Love Gun brilliant and let's put the X in sex dumb?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Boy, this
Have
is
you-
a real bonus.
Have you seen the video of Let's Put the X in Sex?
Yeah. Well, why
Thankfully,
is
there was-
Love Gun brilliant and Let's Put the X in
wait a
Sex
second.
dumb?
Hold on.
Defend
Hold on a
yourselves.
second. Hold on. Julian hit it right on the head. The first thing he mentioned is the video. Thankfully, in 1977 or 1978, I didn't have to turn on Don Kirshner's rock concert and see Paul Stanley doing phallic things. You know, instead of crossing his arms like in X and Sex with supermodels, it could have been him with a gun between his legs shooting off, and that would have been a whole different
That would have
thing.
been From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah. So, you know, maybe it really comes down to the video, but there's also the fact that Love Gun rocks. X Put the X into Sex. A lot of us were a little bit older, and we realized that it was a takeoff or ripoff of Addicted to Love for all intents and purposes.
And also, it's kind of cheesy. Anything that has triplets in it as the drum pattern is probably pretty cool. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. How cool is that? You heard that, you're like, yeah. He's singing about his dick.
This song where he sings about his dick, he's awesome. But this song where he sings about his dick, he's being lame. I wanted the clarity.
It's a delicate balance.
Yeah. And there you have it. Kiss fans, come on. We can love Love Gun and despise Let's Put the X in Sex because we're Kiss fans. We don't have to rationalize it any other more than one is fantastic and the other not so much.
Yeah.
Or we
Just
can
go to
like
the
them both,
FAQ
too.
one day and just sit there and be like, hey, man, will somebody please fight with me over something? I don't even care what it is. Just fight with me over something.
There you go. Go post a topic, Andrew. I
On
think
the other
Let's
hand-
Put the X is better than Love Gun, and see how many pages that generates.
On
Yeah.
the other hand, the Kiss FAQ message board is a great place for information. You just gotta
You got to weed it out.
still-
There was
yeah.
there was some guy on there that was bitching about the Japanese vault experience being moved, and he hadn't even purchased it, and he was like personally offended by it. I'm like, dude, is it that deep? Like, you didn't like relax. Go find something you like.
For reference, I think both Love Gun and Let's Put the X in Sex are great and terrible at
They
the
are.
same time.
Great and terrible, like
And you know,
Oz.
Steve, and you know, guys, when I saw those black lace panties, I knew that was you.
I mean, you know, we do cross-dress in this band. So. All right, so next up on the list.
I'm wearing women's pants right now.
So
What's next?
what's next? Speaking of songs,
Now it's almost human.
now it's almost human. A song where Gene plays guitar, and I think it's a much, much better song than "Got Love for Sale." This is a really cool, underrated Kiss deep cut. Fantastic song.
That's how the song starts.
That's a cool intro.
Sounds like he's taking a really healthy dump right at the beginning, giving birth. To
Yeah,
evil.
hey, this is a cool song. The percussion is very fun. Gene as a guitarist is really shining on this track. Like he's playing with a lot of emotion and really like filling the sound very well. He's knocking it out of the park in this one. It's fun, plays up his character. This is a cool tune.
Yep. And it's very similar in tone and feel to War Machine, the same riff.
I would
Yeah,
say it's
okay.
very similar to War Machine, but the percussion gives it a completely different vibe. And I really enjoy the different vibe that the additional percussion provides on this song. It makes it a very unique experience in the Kiss catalog.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like it, seriously. All right. So, Julian, do you hear any similarities between the riff to Almost Human and War Machine? Like as far as Gene playing and coming up with it?
It's not anything that's ever jumped out at me as very obvious. So, in what way? Where do you hear that? What part
Well,
of it?
it just seems to be that same kind of weird, staggered rhythm that really only Gene Simmons seems to be able to come up with. You know, there's something that's there, and I really hear a similarity in those two riffs. You know that. Check it out.
I've always been more blinded by the congas on that song. So
Well, it's weird. As heavy as the song is, once the congas start playing, it starts sounding like Scooby-Doo type background music. You know what I'm saying? Which I'm not against congas. I'm not against the different instrumentation, but it does take something that, like if Black Sabbath would have played this riff, it sure as hell wouldn't have put congas on it. You know what I'm saying? So it really does change the dynamic of the soundscape.
I would say it's a refreshing change. I think if there was just like, here's another 70s song about evil demons and other worldly creatures, like, all right, we have enough of those. Like, this makes it unique and honestly a lot more fun. Like, this is a fun song to listen to, where it's the kind of song where I can pop in Love Gun and skip to it right away because I'm in the mood for it. So I give this song very high praise.
I remember how I was talking about how Kiss fans are kind of butch, you know what I mean? God of Thunder is like the butch version of this. This is more like the campy side of Godzilla by Blue Oyster Cult. It's kind of like you can hear where he's trying to have a little more fun with it, if you will. Try something different. So I welcome it.
It's the difference between Paul Stanley writing God of Thunder and Gene Simmons writing God of Thunder.
But true.
Any other comments on Almost Human before we move on to the next one?
One of the first times that I heard this song is when I bought the Love Gun Spencer's 24-inch dolls, and this is one of the songs that the Gene doll played.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what song is that? Because at the time I didn't have all the records yet. I had a couple greatest hits. I had, some cassette tapes, and then I heard this song. I go, oh, it's on Love Gun. Why have I never listened to this? And I really dig this song. I think it's cool.
So now we've pretty much got what we've all voted as a panel as the least loved 5 songs, or what? How did you phrase it early? The 5 least.
Well, it
greatest?
was 10th
was it?
best, 9th best, 8th best, 7th best, and 6th best.
Right. So we're heading up on what we're all considering the top 5 accumulatively.
Well, there's not necessarily real consensus on some of these. There's still some dispute.
But, as far as math is concerned, we're coming to the ones that math agrees are the best.
Right.
Correct. There's only 4
correct.
left, right?
There is only 4 left.
The important question is, I'm getting a call from a friend who's in prison right now. Should I answer it and try to get him in on the podcast?
I think having him talk about Christine 16 might be a poor idea.
Oh yeah, let's not.
All right, next up on the list, Shock Me.
Yeah.
Hey man,
This
I
is
thought this was great, and I was glad Ace finally got a song to sing on a Kiss record. Maybe one day we'll hear Queen for a Day if it does exist, but I like the song. I loved when Kiss brought it back on the reunion tour, and I can't get enough of the song. It's so cool. I even like that I was able to hear a little bit of it in Kiss Meets the Phantom.
I'm a huge fan of lead guitarist, right? Like, in many ways, George Harrison was a huge favorite of mine in the Beatles, Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick, even Mike Nesmith from the Monkees. So Ace was kind of like my favorite member of Kiss for the longest time because, growing up in like a big Bible family kind of a thing with Christian background, Gene scared the living fuck out of me. He was, at times, he was everything from the really funny guy to the guy who was the exorcist for real, right? And Peter was kind of like blah, like that's the one that the kid sisters and the little brothers liked. And Paul also scared the flying fuck out of me because you see a guy, sucking on a cherry and he's wearing a garter belt, like acting like Mae West. Hey, come up and see me sometimes. It was like, yeah, it's for my adolescent teen boy thing. I hadn't, really grokked to what was going on. It made me feel as uncomfortable as the first time I saw Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror, right?
There's just so many references
somewhere,
in that sentence.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But somewhere in between, was this guy who I was hoping was going to be this cool George Harrison guy. Little did I know that he was like this really wacky, insane nut bar from Jendell. But in my head, he was just the coolest guy because he didn't do too many interviews. You didn't hear from him very much. And so this was like, oh, wow, we're going to hear Ace sing. So that was kind of amazing. I talked earlier about songs on this album that are fatigue, that suffer from over-listening fatigue, right? This song, along with Love Gun, are two songs that I barely can stand to listen to at times. But there's such great hooks in both of them. In this song that, Andrew, give me the drum part right now. Just mouth it. Do it. That part right there will get stuck in my head over and over and over again till I have to play the fucking song. That drum part in itself is a hook. That drum part in itself stands out, and you don't really give a lot. I mean, you think about like Ringo and the one where they're in the snow. Help me out. Ticket to Ride. You think about drum parts like that, and this is just as powerful. And so this is one of those great Peter Criss drum bits that's just absolutely amazing. That always makes me want to start playing the song. Great track. It definitely has earned its place in history.
I hope no one asks Eddie Kramer about this song. He might say that Peter didn't play on it.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think Peter's and Kiss as a whole is underrated in how well they use drums for major hooks. I think that's something that's sort of a lost art, especially with a lot of newer modern bands. The drums tend to just be sort of there, and they don't really think of utilizing them as hooks. And so that's something an older band like the Beatles or Kiss or Van Halen, they were much better at utilizing all the different instruments and saying, how can we best make this song really catchy? Steve, I'm very curious as to your thoughts on this song, because this is the first Ace song, so you have now been exposed to 4 different lead vocalists in Kiss. What were your thoughts on Shock Me?
I thought the song was pretty all right. It was interesting how much weaker of a vocalist Ace seemed than the other guys in this album. Like, it seemed like he didn't have as much confidence, and he doesn't have quite as much range. But really what stuck out to me with the song is that I just wanted it, like much of Kiss's discography, I wanted them to play it faster. This song didn't need to be 4 minutes long. They should have picked up the tempo and made it 3, I think. So I also looked up covers of it because, I had a bit of spare time while going through these ones and discovered that Red House Painters did a cover. I was like, I bet they played it faster. Oh, wait, this is a shoegaze band. Their version's a minute longer.
Actually, do you know who did the best cover version of this song? Buck Cherry, Lit Up. It is the same song.
I kind of dig where you're coming from as far as speeding up, but it would have lost the swagger that it has. Seriously. If you speed this song up, it loses that back and forth shuffle that Peter's got going on. It really would ruin the groove, and that would suffer a lot. That would, to me, would make the song suffer a lot.
I would agree with that statement, and I think I'll say for both the one Peter cut and the one Ace cut, I love a lot of the songs both those guys brought to the band, but if you look at the collective whole of what they brought to the band, this album features 2 of their weaker contributions. Like, Shock Me is towards the bottom of my Ace list, and Hooligan is towards the bottom of my Peter list. I still love them, like, they're great, but in terms of, like, the best songs they've ever contributed to Kiss, like, these are 2 times where both of their contributions were on the weaker side for me. Not that I don't love both songs, but in terms of compared to the rest of their work.
It's interesting we're doing a ranking list on Love Gun, and you have a Peter list as well. That's
just like good. An internal Peter list.
I really don't want to do an every Peter song episode, Greg.
That could be fun. But, speaking of Peters and Love Guns and all that, I sent a photo to the group earlier of the original back album cover. Which one did I send?
You sent it to me individually, and how it looks like a penis.
Yeah, basically, if you take the words of the album, and the track listing, which is not in the actual track listing order, correct, Julian?
Yeah, that's right. It's not. It's obviously designed for other purposes.
Yeah, it's definitely designed for impact. And, we need to let people know something about this album. We need to talk about the album cover and the presentation that it came with. I don't know what you guys are aware of it, how it came out, but this thing came with a cardboard pop-up gun that had a love gun, and it said bang. Now, just imagine that you are working at Casablanca and they go, wait, these guys seriously want to name this album Love Gun and it's about a dick? And how can we market this? Because right now our demographic, we're selling trash cans, Kiss radios, and Kiss action figures. How can we do this? Well, maybe mom and dad won't get so mad if kids are running around with a little purple note that the purple gun that came with it is purple. We'll just let that sit there. Maybe if they had an actual little cardboard gun that they could, pull apart and assemble and run around the house and pop their love guns all around the house. And maybe mom and dad wouldn't think, well, Kiss is being so serious about this. So that was kind of weird in itself. And then you flip the album over and you see this Donkus hanging there.
Donkus.
Yeah. Donkus Shane.
See, if you were Italian, you would call it a Pishkadil.
A Pishkadil, of course, yeah. Or Peshkadil, depending on which part of Italy you're from. So, there was an intent to not only have Kiss be the mightiest band in the world as they had these love gun women at their feet as they stood triumphantly, but you also got the purple love gun and then the Donkus on the back. So there's something to be said about the presentation. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm sure that little snap gun really assuaged many a parent's concern about that album. The cover, the back cover, the title. Yeah, that little Chuck, you really went a long way to making everything okay.
I thought this album was about sex, which is too much for little. Was about sex, so which is too much for little Jimmy. But it came with a gun, so it turns out it's fine.
Yeah, but we love guns in this country.
We love guns and we hate sex.
I mean? We love guns. You hear it?
Yeah.
Love guns. And by the way, Kiss is standing between four major pillars, large pillars. So I'll just let that hang there.
So any other comments on Shock Me? Other than the solo live is great, and whenever I hear the studio version, I wish it would go into the live solo version, because Ace's solo is great. It's the only other thing I really have to add to this one.
Yeah, I think Ken, in mentioning the columns, really needs to look at that background a little bit deeper. Yeah.
Give it to me. Tell me, what am I missing?
That they're really standing in front of an entranceway with clouds, bit of a cream pie going on there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh my god. I'm never going to be able to unsee that.
And right in the middle of the cream pie is that wording Donkus. So, by the way, I think I just added Donkus into the general vocabulary of the world now. So, yeah, Julian, you're right. Holy fuck. Okay. Can't unsee that.
Enjoy that for the rest of your life. Hooray!
I've just rode Love Gun for many people.
I mean, did you really? Did you?
Listen, I'm telling you that there are Kiss fans who didn't think about this song being about a dick.
How?
There are guys, listen, there are Kiss fans who take Kiss so goddamn seriously. Like, you can't say that any song sucks or anything. Like, this is gospel to them. This is their Second Amendment. This is their religion. You know what I'm saying?
I like that you put the Second Amendment and gospel at the same level.
The right to bear my love gun shall not be infringed.
Right. And we did the Rock and Pod Expo this last year, and what was on the door, Julian?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
a sign.
There was a sign that said something to the effect of, The only guns permitted on this property are love guns. So that tells you. But there are people who take KISS so seriously that I think that it took the movie role models and that scene for them to like go, wait a second, that's about a penis? That's about Paul's penis?
But how could they, like, isn't like 80% of KISS songs about penises? Julian, you're the KISS master. What is the percentage of KISS songs that is about a penis?
I'm not going to give you a percentage. I'm just going to say no.
Yeah. Well, our brothers over at Pot of Thunder, they do a thing where they like to play a game where you can substitute the word love for dick. Gene saying dick. So every once in a while it'd be dick gut, right? Got dick for sale. So, I was made for dick and dick. So you can see where this.
There's another guy, Alan Tate, who I met at the Atlanta KISS Expo, and he just he comes up to me, he goes, "Hey, just Sgmbatti from Kiss My Penis," and it's just the whole weekend it was, "Hey, Kiss My Penis," or "Andrew Penis," or it was just it's out of control, complete silliness.
Now it really gets funky on this album when you put on the track "I Stole Your Dick." So.
I don't know.
I went there.
I don't have a response to that. I get, yeah. All right.
I'd be more interested in that song.
Let's get back to rank, shall we?
All right, coming up next on the list, the creepiest song on the album, and that's saying something in the company it keeps. Christine 16 ranks as number 3 on the list, a.k.a. Statutory Rape, the song.
Yeah, but I think the age of consent was 16 in New York at this time, so it was not statutory rape. Morally wrong, yes. But actually legally wrong,
it depends on the state,
so.
right?
That's an important distinction. They are a touring band.
But yeah. Well, and even as far back as like 2001 or 2002, when I was playing in New York, the age of consent was 16. So, and I was like 19 at the time, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to bone every 16-year-old. But regardless about all that, this is a cool song, and take your judging hat off and just have fun with the song. Who cares that he's singing about a girl in high school and whatever? The song is fun. The piano part is fun. The chorus is cool. I like this song, and when they started playing it at the beginning of the reunion tour, I thought it was cool, and I was really glad they brought it back for the Rock the Nation tour. And I'm also really glad I finally got to hear the Eddie Van Halen version that's on the Gene Simmons Vault.
It's a great song, but also the lyric, "When I saw you coming out of that school that day," that means Gene Simmons was like parked in front of a high school, just hanging out, looking for underage girls. Like, this song should have been covered by Gary Glitter. But
or it should have been done by Paul McCartney with the Beatles. He was over 18 and saying, well, she was just 17.
But that's like closer. That's closer. 16, they don't know what they're doing.
You're making excuses. Now listen.
No. You're looking at Paul McCartney's innocent cherub face singing that versus the demon growl singing.
And also, Paul McCartney did say, I was hanging outside of a school waiting for the girls to come out.
Did you just call me a cherub?
So this song, to me, has a lot more to do with the Big Bopper, Chantilly Lace, and those kind of songs than it does, going after teenage girls if you're an old guy in KISS, right? To me, this is the kind of thing that rock and roll was never supposed to be for adults. And nor was it ever supposed to be podcast about and speculated and over-analyzed or analyzed, depending on your point of view. But none of this stuff was ever supposed to be dissected or live 10 years later, right? At the time that this came out, the Beatles were passé. At the time that this came out, Jerry Lee Lewis was passé. Everything was old, and the only thing that mattered was what was happening now, whether it be punk or Van Halen or whatever, disco, whatever. It was about the music of the time, and this was music aimed at, again, people that were buying Kiss dolls. So to them, they're looking at a 16-year-old girl thinking an older woman. So this stuff was never supposed to be to live past its shelf life. I do a show called a pop culture podcast, and we talk about how everything from a movie that was supposed to come out and only be out until it died at the box office. There was no home video market. There was no on Blu-ray and Vudu and in demand and 50 years anniversary of a movie. Nobody thought about in terms of that. Nobody thought about this in terms of Love Gun, the deluxe album, right? So Gene never thought that this stupid homage to 50s rock and roll would be something that people would go like, wow, gosh, this is about statutory rape. And then Ace would say, Gene never raped a statue, right? So it was never supposed to be anything that we were supposed to look back on. Nobody thought that they would still be in Kiss in 2018, and yet here we are. So to me, this is music aimed at young people. I know that I was like 14 when this came out, so I was hoping to get a hold of a 16-year-old girl at the time. So
yeah, this is the kid in the back of mom's car taking his elder sibling to school. He's dreaming about his babysitter, right?
And that's fine with it.
Exactly.
It's a great
Yeah,
tune.
you know what? That's a really good point.
Or it's all about Gene Simmons' Polaroid collection, and when he's looking back through that, and he's really hoping for something clean. You kind of get where he might be coming from. With that green-haired girl from Edmonton, or the granny bus driver.
Hot. As far as now that we've talked about raping statues and everything else, we need to talk about the actual performance. Gene playing guitar and piano on this, just amazing. I love the vocal delivery. I think it is just excellent.
It's one of Ace's best solos on this song.
I think
I agree.
It's Ace's best solo that was written by Edward Van Halen.
Yeah.
Note for note.
Yep.
Yeah, but when you listen to the Vault version, you're like, it's not note for note.
So what I'll say about this song is the band is firing on all cylinders. Gene does a great vocal performance. The piano's great. The hooks are great. It's incredibly catchy. But as far as whether or not to be analyzed, the dude was still in his late 20s. And when you have a guy like Kip Winger singing a song like 17 saying, Daddy said she's too young, but she's old enough for me. This is still clearly from the perspective of an older dude. And I know we're saying rock lyrics aren't necessarily meant to be analyzed or whatever, but
Too bad. We're doing it anyway.
We're doing it anyway. But one of the reasons I like Thin Lizzy more than Kiss over the years is because Thin Lizzy has better lyrics. I can resonate with their lyrics more. Uh-huh. And I think just saying, it's not meant to be analyzed, it's meant to just be for the times, is, in my opinion, an excuse for just not going and having higher quality stuff. Kiss are capable of writing really good lyrics when they put their minds to it, and there are songs of theirs that have phenomenal lyrical content. And this song isn't meant to be that, and it doesn't need to be that. It's meant to be a fun, catchy song, and it is, but it is worth mentioning that the problematic lyrics makes it lose points for me, and that's why a band like Thin Lizzy has the edge overall in my life, because they're able to mix those tight hooks with lyrics that mean something. But I still love the song. It's a Kiss classic. I have nothing bad to say about it musically. Everything is top-notch, A+ material, and I'll still listen to it, even though it can be problematic and creepy. And I dated a girl named Christine who was 16 when I was in high school, and she was smoking hot, and it was great. So I related to it on that level as a teenager. I get it, but it's still problematic.
We would see Gene revisit this character on his solo album on Living in Sin at the Holiday Inn.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Cool.
Next up on our list, Love Gun. Song about Paul Stanley's dick and how this girl's going to get some of his dick. What I love most about this song is how picky Paul was about the performance. He's like, guys, this song's about my dick, and it needs to capture the majesty of my penis. So, like, I need to play bass on it because you don't have the right groove for it. And we need additional percussion, Peter, because this song is about my dick, and this is the ultimate song about my penis. So it needs to be a magnum opus of epic proportions. This needs to be perfect.
This is the ultimate song about
This
my
song
penis,
represents
so-
my penis, and my penis deserves the best rock song ever written. Like, that is the mentality Paul had going into this. And but like, taking all that goofiness aside, it's a great rock song. Paul's bass playing is great. The drums are great. The vocals are great. The guitar tone is great. The riffs are great. Like, everything is really, really good. And yeah, he was really into his penis on this song. Like, when people talk about masturbatory musicianship and just like, I just want to show everyone how cool I am with my music to make my dick feel better. Like, that is this song. But it's fantastic. It's a classic. It's great.
And it's pretty much a Paul Stanley solo song, right, Julian?
Yeah.
Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, it's Paul Stanley trying to write a Led Zeppelin song or an Aerosmith song. If you think about the content that he's not just singing about his schmeckle. He is singing, about The Hunter, which of course was an Albert King cover of a very old song. So, Aerosmith got away with stuff like Walk This Way and some of the lyrics in there. Kiss had never done something as overt as some of the material on this album, particularly the title track and Christine. So, it's embodied all throughout the album, but it's Paul Stanley in Led Zeppelin mode.
Right. And there's the one thing about this song, and I find this very interesting, is Ace plays this incredible solo on it, but that solo is lifted 100% from the Blues Magoo song, We Ain't Got Nothing
Well, in fairness,
Yet,
that is just a major scale. Like, it's just a major scale. Like, that solo is just a major scale.
Also, if you're going to try to do the Zeppelin thing,
but
you just steal blues riffs.
But to further complicate it, there's a fellow by the name of Pepe Castro who Ace used to hang out with in the neighborhood, who was in that band. So Ace was very familiar with this, this usage of this as a solo. So just throwing that out there.
Of course he was. Pepe taught him how to play guitar.
Exactly. So folks, check it out. Check out the Blues Magoos, We Ain't Got Nothing Yet, and you'll hear the Love Gun
There's also
solo.
a Bob Marley song that does it because it's a major scale. Like, it's...
Yeah, but Bob Marley didn't teach Ace Frehley how to play guitar.
That's
Pepe
fair.
Castro did.
And this song coined the phrase, the very famous KissFAQ phrase, "That's nice, now play Love Gun," which I
Right.
actually have on a KissFAQ shirt.
Yes. And the funniest part of this song is when Paul sings, "Girl, I can make you feel." Okay.
I can make
And
you
that's
feel
it.
mediocre.
That's it. Yeah, because, you lead it up. This is the song about the most massive penis of all time, and she's just only going to feel okay.
It's all
Come
length,
on.
no width. That's the problem.
Maybe he's underselling it. Like, maybe he's doing the thing where he's saying, "Look, I'm gonna make you feel just so," and then later when she feels really good, it's like,
Undersell,
whoa,
over-deliver.
She's like, undersell, over.
That's not really Kiss's thing, though. It's kind of to oversell and most of the time deliver. And then, like, this album is going to be like, the Nets Destroyer, and then it's Asylum. So...
Yeah. Paul does this, though, every once in a while in a song where he'll undersell a little bit, and then he'll tell you what time of day the song's taking place and all sorts of things like that. If Freedom comes at 5:15, Prison starts at 8:45, it's whatever time I gotta rock, that sort of thing. So
Then I'm going to ruin your trip and just remind you that Paul's singing about Love Gun while there's Village People background vocalists on it. So
hot.
just take that one.
The Village People is a great band. Excellent hooks, great vocal performances.
Mm-hmm.
Rock music is a democratic thing, right? The Love Gun is for all the people, Village People and otherwise.
They have dicks, too.
Absolutely,
That's true.
but do they have fans that are analyzing Village People songs on the level that Kiss fans do?
Yeah,
Like,
we're
they do
Julian,
doing
who's
today.
that? Who's that guy that was on the FAQ podcast with us? Who like knew the names of the Village People? Like, that's the third construction worker, and that's the second one. What's
Oh,
his name again?
Alex, he loves them.
He loves the Village People.
I mean,
He totally loves them. He goes and sees them. He does meet and greets with the band. And you know what? I'm not going to bag on Casablanca co-label band like Village People. No, there, like you said, there's some good music there.
Isn't this FAQ handle Bag Boy?
Yeah. He's a great guy. He really
No,
is.
he is. It's just like I'm not gonna bag him. Wait, but his name is
Yeah.
Bag Boy.
Yeah, you're not going to bag on him, but, yeah, excellent guy. And I can never crack on anyone's music because I do a Monkeys podcast as well. So, say what you want. I love what they do musically and what they've all done in the studio with all the great writers and musicians. And, so whatever you dig musically, that's your thing. That belongs to you, and you wear it proud. So
there are just some people
there's nothing I can
Some
make
people who
fun
don't
of.
realize Pull It is a great album. There are a bunch of savages out there.
Agreed.
All right, so the number one song on the album. Before we get to the number one song, I'm going to go through the list again. Coming in at number 10, Then She Kissed Me. Followed by Tomorrow and Tonight. Then Plaster Caster. Then Got Love for Sale. Followed by Hooligan. Followed by Almost Human. Then Shock Me. Then Christine 16. Then Love Gun. And the best song on Love Gun, as voted by the panel.
Wait, hold on, stop. Can I do
Sure.
it? Can I do it? Moving up to number 1 on Casey Kasem's American Love Gun Countdown. It's I Stole Your Love from Kiss.
And then the song starts. Dun, 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 and I can't listen to the song without imagining that I'm like descending from the stacks because I didn't have the album first, and the intro wasn't extended on Kiss Alive 2, but I did see it on Phantom first. And when they started descending from there on that second musical number in Phantom, and I'm watching that, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, Spider-Man, I knew Spider-Man, Batman, and X-Men weren't real, but Kiss were real. And
I'm going to tell you something real quick. I don't want to ruin our time, but when I had seen the Destroyer tour, and then when I saw the Love Gun tour, and when they came up and did that, it was so insane because all you could see was the smoke, and you threw the smoke on the stage. It was like Las Vegas exploded with hell, right? And here comes they come in those baskets over the amps and stuff. It was just mind-blowing. I will never forget that feeling.
It's funny that you said baskets because when Kiss was filming the Detroit Rock City movie in Hamilton, Ontario, anytime that they had to do the descend again, someone was like, "Put the band in the baskets," and then they would do it again. Then they'd go back up, "Put the band in the baskets."
Or it gets the
Of
hose
course.
again.
Mm-hmm. So host of the show, what do you think of I Stole Your Love?
Steve or myself, because we're both hosts of this show.
Go for it.
Hit
Greg.
us.
I'll go for
us
I think I ranked this as the number one song on the album.
You did.
So obviously I enjoy
man.
it. It's a great song, classic riff. I love the guitar interplay between Paul and Ace in the solo section. The song's obviously a big musical influence for Lipstick in particular. I know this song is basically Paul writing Deep Purple's Burn, and We're Here to Rock You by Lipstick was sort of a combination of Burn and I Stole Your Love. So I looked at those songs like, I'm going to write a song with this kind of structure. So it's a musical influence on me. Lyrically, this one can be interpreted as rapey, but it also has the advantage of being interpreted as not rapey. So that gives it some lyrical plus where you can say it's a rape song, or it can just be like, I'm aggressive and I'm going to win you over, which isn't necessarily rapey. It could be endearing. So I give it a lot of points, but it's a great kick-ass rock song. There's so many different great live versions of it. 77, Houston, the Summit, whatever that Hot in the Shade thing is on Kissology 2. also great. Like, there's a bunch of great versions of this song, and the studio version holds up. It's a classic. Good guitar tone, good riffs, good vocals, well done. Nothing really bad to say about it.
I like how you say it can be endearing until it gets turned over to human resources.
It's endearing if it's someone who isn't your coworker. Like someone who...
Don't steal your coworkers' love.
But, lyrically, this is a good example of Paul Stanley bravado saying that, like, hey, I know you're sort of a heartbreaker and you've broken a lot of hearts in the past, but I'm not like that. I'm better than that, and you're going to fall for me. Like, that kind of confidence is really unique lyrically and shines well on this track. It's a cool tune. I don't really have anything bad to say about it.
I'm the only one who didn't rank it as my number one out of all five of us, and it was mostly for the lyrics. I think the riff was really good. They played it really fast. Again, I like fast songs, and I think it was a well put together song. Just those lyrics, I had to dock it a couple points.
I've always thought of this song as Strutter 77. It's like a companion song to Strutter off the first album, an attempt
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Interesting.
To kind of rewrite it in that way. But for me, it's always been one of the very, very best Kiss album opening tracks. And also, on the live shows, a great way to open the concert. It's strange that, when they went out on tour in 77 to support this album, that it was not initially the opening song in the set. That was still Detroit Rock City for half of the tour. And then it shifted to this song. So great song. Love it.
Was it half of the tour? Or was it just a couple of dates?
Well, it's hard to really tell. It was still, Detroit was still like in Montreal, but there aren't enough shows or accurate set lists from the tour known to really figure it out.
If you listen carefully, you can hear Kiss nerds talking about Kiss set lists.
I wasn't even listening that carefully, and I still heard it.
Right, yeah. Now, you want to talk about a case of misheard lyrics? The big thing, I remember hanging out with guys as we waited for the school bus. The big argument was, what did it actually say on the album? Because what a lot of us heard was, I'm something different, ain't like the rest. How does it feel to find out I'm feeling your tits?
Oh, I thought it was failing your test.
It is failing your
test. It is.
but these were a bunch of teenagers.
We're talking about 12 and 14-year-old kids going, man, they said tits on a Kiss
When I was
album.
14, I thought it was failing your test because that's what it was.
Yeah, but it's the kind of thing that like becomes a legend, right? All it takes is one guy to say, my uncle saw this happen on stage at the Richfield Coliseum. And the next thing you know, it becomes real. Like, we've all heard the Rod Stewart story, right? We've all heard the, the stomach pump thing, the ridiculousness of that. And then there's the Mick Jagger, Alice Cooper gross out contest. So this could have been one of those horrible misheard lyrics legends kind of things. But yeah, it's definitely test. Anyone that really wants to strain their ear can pick it out. But yeah, that was just a goofy little thing. We just thought it was the coolest thing in the world to be 14 and Kiss said tits on a record, Really? I got to go home and listen to that. So it was that kind of a thing with our Kiss bubblegum cards and everything else. But
I don't think Paul ever intended for this to be called I Stole Your Love. I think he couldn't figure out how to make heart rhyme in the song. Because, I Stole Your Love does not really make sense for me. It's like, I stole your heart. Makes sense. I stole your love.
Well, love and heart are kind of synonymous.
And I mean, heart would completely eliminate the creepy interpretation. It might have been the sort of thing where they did that on purpose. Like, he wrote a song called I Stole Your Heart, and somebody was like, well, if we change it to love, then it's got those subtle alternate interpretation.
It implies you might have banged her if you say love.
Also, you can't...
And could you do me a favor when you scream tits? Have it say tits.
Also, it doesn't make any sense to replace the word heart with dick, so we can't use that word in a song.
Right. We can't, yeah. They really can't use the Pot of Thunder love dick scale on this one, so. But yeah, you can, that would be too gay, but you can sing an entire song about your penis. That's okay.
Of course.
Yeah, but that's Kiss fans for you, it's kind of weird. To me, musically, this song just kicks ass. It's one of my favorite songs because it's just a flat out, over the top, off the rails rocker. Love it, love it, love it.
All right, well, that is our ranking. I want to thank our esteemed guests for coming on the show very last minute, but like I said, we put out the KISS signal and they all answered. Gentlemen, where can we find you and your excellent shows?
You can find me at KissMyKollectibles.com. You can search Kiss My Collectibles on YouTube and iTunes. And for those of you that don't know, Kiss My Collectibles morphed from Kiss My Wax because we ran out of records to talk about.
Right. Great show. Julian?
I don't know. Where can you find me? Let's see, KissFAQ.com. And the podcast, we always post the episodes on the FAQ. You can find me on Facebook. And, there's no place to hide him, baby. There's no place to run. And you can't pull the trigger on my
dick gun.
And Ken, where can we find you?
Well, I do this show called the PodKISSt. It's the longest running KISS theme podcast ever.
Not the longest running, the first.
Okay, all right.
The first.
All right. Well, yeah, but they're both true.
Yeah, but longest running just means that someone else had the idea first, and you guys just outlived them. You are the first longest running.
Okay, how about this? Take two. I'm Ken Mills, and we do a show called PodKISSt. We are the first and longest running KISS theme podcast of
the number
all
one
time.
KISS podcast.
And any show that talks about KISS, it all started here, baby. And we also do a show about the monkeys called Zilch, a podcast full of monkeys. We do sometimes a show about Cheap Trick called Cheap Talk, and my newest baby, Pop, a pop culture podcast where I can talk about anything from Thor and Fleetwood Mac, Al Jolson, anything I want to talk about, I can talk about. So we did like an entire Love Boat episode. We might talk about the Golden Girls. We might talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Beatles, whatever. It's all there, folks. Come and be on my show.
And we are Lipstick. You can find us at lipstickgeneration.com. That's going to be the easiest way to find podcasts, YouTube. Primarily, we're a band, so hopefully you enjoy our music. But if you don't enjoy our music, you can at least enjoy us talking about KISS. Have a good one, folks.